The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And it is Wednesday, hump day, the day after another epic campaign season city council meeting. And what a horror show. I can see the dents in CJ's head from hitting himself in a hammer for watching that thing for about 5 hours. Oh God! So give us the rundown here.
Well, let's first start on some corrections. Ken Fiola came down to speak about what's going on with this state pier. Now, he wasn't asked to come down. The administration was asked to come down, but the administration obviously doesn't know what the hell's going on. So they sent Ken Fiola and Tim McCoy. Tim McCoy sat there dumbfounded. Couldn't answer any questions, said nothing, just looked stupid. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But Ken Fiola corrected some statements that he says, some rumors that are going around, and he hates rumors. One, he says that his agency, not him, but his agency, his company, is getting paid $6,500 a month to manage the state pier. Two, there is no intent on moving the battleship anywhere, to the best of his knowledge.
To the best of his knowledge.
Right. Three, the pier manager left after a decision was made to sell her home, or his home, whatever, and move to Nashville. They placed their house on the market, and in 2 days it was sold with the contingency that it must be vacated within 2 weeks. So notice was given, and they were gone. I don't know if he's trying to clean up some of the stuff for the administration or how this is working, but those were his statements. So at this point, we can't refute them.
Well, to the best of his knowledge isn't a given. That gives him a latitude, because if someday you see the battleship Massachusetts getting towed somewhere else along the Taunton River, he'll say, well, I said to the best of my knowledge. So that I don't deal with. And we were talking about so $6,500 a month is $78,000, and his company. So he always, you know, it's still something that he's part of in getting something out of. And, you know, the good old boy network reigns supreme. So he made some.
One of the things he said was that at the rate that he's charging, it's still less money than the old state pier manager was making, because the old state pier manager was making about $100,000 a year with benefits and whatnot.
Yeah.
And at $6,500 a month, it's much less. So
yeah, there's only one difference. The other guy was a full-time manager. This guy's got 75 jobs.
Right, he's down, and he says he's down there 2 to 3 hours a day himself. And there's a secretary that goes down to process payroll and all of this other, clerical stuff. And she's down there 2 to 3 hours a day. So they're down there 5 to 6 hours a day.
And he's been down at the pier for 50 years, because I remember having a meeting on the carousel because I was on the Heritage State Park Board with Mark Sullivan from CFC. We were two of the people that were on the board. And he was down fiddling around with stuff down there 40 years ago. So look at the great improvements we've had down there in 40 years. None, virtually. It's always promises. And it's cheaper. Well, yeah, they got 17 people screwing a light bulb. It's not cheaper. But Again, it's the same old, same old. Fall River's never going to move forward when we keep repeating the same thing. We elect the same tired old politicians. We do the same thing over and over again, which is the definition of insanity, and expect a different result. And now we got a mayor who's dragging in people from 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Plus, he's bringing in the dictatorial management style of the school department.
Correct.
So that's the problem. See, we saw it last night at the city council meeting. He's going to get his way. Look, I'm not going to pretend it's the method that's disturbing me. The total disregard for anybody, like the school department did with Malone, like Meg Mayo Brown did with her secretaries, paying them $20,000, $30,000 more than every other secretary, and said, screw it. She just gave everybody the finger, and you know which finger.
Yep.
And they don't care. And they do everything in the back room, and they don't give anybody information. This is the way it is. We are autonomous, and we do whatever we want, and we have Mein Führer is always at the head of a school department, and everybody marches to the beat. Otherwise, they don't get a job. And it was shown clearly, and we have an ACLU letter, which I printed out because I got my printer back online, that basically tells you how egregious their violations of the people's rights are. And we'll get to that later. But last night's council meeting it showed it. He was going to get his way, just like he did with the budget. We're going to, again, that charter jumps up and bites everybody on the butt. That disaster has to you have to throw that disaster out. Again, the charter rears its ugly head. Well, if they don't do anything, and the other thing, the thing that's pissed me off since day one, or even before day one, because you and I opposed that charter from the get-go, is that objection. They did that and stuck that in there for political reasons only, and last night made it obvious why that is in the charter, to obstruct the process of government.
And Linda used that objection rather loosely last night.
Well, absolutely. And why did she do it? To obstruct the process. You know, I don't have a problem with making an objection, but stand up there, make your objection, plead your case, and then have them vote on your objection. To just say that anybody, for no reason at all, can just get up to stop a governmental process, I think that is unconstitutional. Again, we'll get back to this letter later, but the ACLU clearly states how this city disregards the rights guaranteed to us under our favorite part of the first Section 5 of the Commonwealth's Constitution and of the United States Constitution. That meeting last night was an absolute exercise in political machinations, not the business of the people.
Well, let me tell you something about political machinations. The Port Authority nominees, there were 4 of them last night. Instead of 2, there were 4. Merrill Cordero and John Medeiros were 2 new listings for an appointment to the Park Authority, Port Authority. Now, here's the thing. When Cliff Ponte said he had to recuse himself because the Port Authority handles money, and he's a member of that board. Therefore, I guess for ethics reasons, he should recuse himself. Well, if that's the case, then why does the mayor get to appoint members? Because he's a member of that board, and he's appointing the authority.
Yeah.
Okay, and because of that, it was always a 4-4 vote.
Mm-hmm.
And because they didn't have enough time because of the charter, 45 days, because they only had one meeting. They only have one meeting in July. If I was city council president, would have turned around and said, well, there will be a second meeting in July, and that will be it to address those issues. And then if somebody couldn't make it to that second meeting, guess what? You'll have a 4-3 vote somewhere. It's a sad thing to say, but when the charter is giving you a time limit, just because you want to have a day off doesn't mean you get a day off. If it's 45 days, it's 45 days. And because of this, Linda objected to a couple of these votes, which then put them beyond the 45 days, which means they're automatically approved to be on the Port Authority. So the 4 people that are on the Port Authority are there not because of their qualifications, not because of their expertise. They're there because Linda Pereira objected. And that was one for like Dawn Surratt, because I was told, this is a good one, I was told that Dawn Surratt was collecting signatures for Laura Washington this week. And a city councilor approached her, or she approached the city councilor and asked the city councilor, why didn't you vote for me? And or something along that line. And that city councilor asked, will you sign my nomination papers? And she said, I'll sign them after tonight's meeting so that I'll know if you vote for me or not. So this city councilor decided, you know what? I'm going to be the better man. Let me have Laura's papers and I'll sign them. Okay?
Well,
but this is not the type of person you have going to the Port Authority. Somebody that wants something for something. Does that not surprise you?
No, it doesn't. Well, look, I'm going to tell you what disturbs me. I'm not going to play Pollyanna. I'm not going to be naive. I'm not naive. We've been in this game a long time. We've always contended that boards should be elected. We know that mayors elect political hacks to the board. People with strings attached to the top of their heads so they can nod when the mayor wants them to nod. But you know something? For the first time in a very, very long time, we had a council that got up and began to question some of these nominees because of their blatant connections and their blatant political positions, like this individual. I'm not going to sign your paper unless you give me an appointment. So it's pay to play again. So the city council finally began to question appointees because of the incestuous relationships they have with certain politicians. And what happens? One of the old guard, Linda, I object. And then we get four politicians, and all of them should be thrown out of the council like they did in 95, to allow this to get again the 45-day rule. That's not government. That's de facto government. Nobody did it the right way. Nobody got approval from the body that's supposed to approve it. It's like we're going to circumvent the body. We do an end around. So this is what we're going to do every time Paul Coogan wants his way and the council says, well, we don't agree with it. Well, I don't care whether you agree or not. We're just going to invoke the 45-day rule on everything I can and ram it down your throat and the taxpayer's throat.
We'll have to call them the
city council was questioning these appointees for particular reasons. And Linda Pereira's objection put the kibosh on it. And it might be a 4-3 vote the next time, because I got a suggestion. A couple of hours before the meeting, have an open bar. We only have 7 people that can vote then.
Well, here's the thing. On the appointments, besides Linda's objecting all night long, the vote kept going 4-4. Okay? They had a motion to reject, 4-4. Motion fails. Motion to approve, 4-4. Motion fails. And then Sean Kadim says, well, I'll make a motion to separate them. And Cliff said, why do you want to do that? Well, maybe the vote will be different. And it never got separated. And because of that 4-4 vote, Those people got appointed to the Port Authority. Then they went down to Dawn Surratt and Patrick Norton. Patrick Norton, they voted and they approved him. They approved him. Dawn Surratt was a 4-4 vote. So she was appointed by default. By default.
Oh.
Merrill Cordero, does the name sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. A default vote. Now, John Medeiros, and if John Medeiros, as Linda said, was half of what his father was, Jack Medeiros, I mean, he'd be a good appointment to that board. A very good appointment to that board. So I'm going to have to watch him and his votes to see how he appoints. Because remember, Jack Medeiros' vote, what was his vote always in the city council? No.
Yeah, but believe me, he's not like his father. The votes are going to be right along the party line, and shame on them for approving the biggest political hack in the group.
Yep.
A guy who never got a job that wasn't political in his entire life.
Right. So,
again, the entire process just goes to show how ridiculous it is. And that objection is a disgrace. I think it's illegal, and we should begin to look at getting rid of that charter. Not having that the mayorally appointed people review it. We need to ditch it because this thing is being used against the people. And, that meeting was an absolute, it was the theater of the absurd. Nothing but politics. Nothing but politics. And look, I expect political hacks to be appointed to boards. But the fact is that this time they questioned a few because they were so blatantly political, and they still can't get it through because of this charter objection thing, which was put in there intently to screw the process up. So, that meeting, it's no use to even discuss it. The only thing I can say is the city council had better get their lawyers to go in and get injunctive relief about the mayor's interpretation that they do not get the vote on how that money is appropriated, because that's not what the law said. And Trot Lee did read the law. It said the city manager and the council have to vote on it. So the city manager.
And that was a thing last night. And Trot Lee kept confusing the hell out of me. Yeah, well, at one point, you could tell he was fighting for the people. And then on another hand, he wasn't. When the motion came up in regards to the water and sewer rates, I don't care. I didn't care about the motion from lifting it from the table or any of that stuff. But when it came up to the water and sewer rates in the full council, they had a motion to withdraw, a motion to withdraw, leave to withdraw. And Trot Lee said no. But so did Pam La Liberté LeBeau. It ended up dying on the table. So while it hasn't been enacted, it also hasn't been granted a leave to withdraw, which means the city would have had to refile all of that.
Yeah. Well,
and that's a problem. Now, when the grant leave to withdraw came up on the salaries, that went through with a leave to withdraw. So again, you have confusing propositions.
Well, one thing that we don't have in Fall River is consistency. The politicians are all, they're all over the place. What you want from your politician, as you said, it's ironic that you mentioned John Medeiros Sr., because John Medeiros Sr. used to be referred to as No Nanette, because he voted no on virtually every single thing that went before the council. Unless everybody voted no, then he'd vote yes. He was always the contrarian to a degree, but he was a good counselor. He was a conservative about spending money, which is good. We should have more like him on the council today. But this this kind of inconsistency is not good. And my philosophy is I got a person that I can't depend on that's going to confuse me with their positions, let alone themselves. You got to get rid of them and put somebody in who at least has a position and will stand by their position. Because frankly, some of the stuff that goes on is baffling at best. So, but let me just digress. And I know you posted that ACLU letter, right? I did see it.
Yes.
All right. So I'm not gonna read it verbatim, but the American Civil Liberties Union, the thing that disturbed me is it says, and I'm going to just read the first paragraph and a couple of excerpts. I'm writing because the ACLU of Massachusetts has become aware that the Fall River School Committee is applying policies regulating and censoring comments that may be delivered or submitted during the public comment portion of the meetings. We believe it is clear that these policies violate constitutional free speech protections under both the U.S. and Massachusetts constitutions. We urge you to promptly suspend application. Then it goes on and make a very good case. They tell you about it. But here's the one. There was the substance of the policies in paragraphs 4 and 5 are inconsistent with constitutional free speech protection and indeed have previously been declared unconstitutional in a case brought against the Natick School Committee. Links to the relevant decisions and resulting are attached. So our school committee, and you're not going to tell me that people don't share information, because everybody does and cities do. And every time there's a relevant decision in a retirement case, the retirement boards are informed. You're not going to tell me that they weren't aware of the Natick school decision. And if they weren't, they're not doing their job. The fact is that we do have freedom of speech. We've long said that the school committee suppression of people speaking is Nazi-esque. And that's the way they run the school department, and that's the way the city's becoming run. So now we don't need a city council because everything's done by the 45-day rule because of our pathetic charter. But remember, the ACLU is an organization that does not take frivolous kinds of suits. They have to have a content that impacts more than individuals. Because I know, CJ, you've sent some stuff to the ACLU, and so have I. But they were too narrow in scope, and they won't take them.
Right.
But this was a First Amendment case. They have told you in writing that this government is not allowing the people of Fall River to have the freedom they have to be the government, because this is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we have anything but. This is the most dictatorial, repressive government I've ever seen in the history of Fall River. I've seen a lot of politicians, line up people and get votes through the council. I have never seen anybody just go around a legislative body. This is like Washington. If there's a constitutional prohibition, you write a fiat and you ignore the law. And that's not the way to run the government. And remember, September and November are coming. It's up to the people of this city to take back their government, because, it's not our opinion anymore. It's the opinion of the American Civil Liberties Union, and it has case precedent that people have a right to a different opinion. And I don't care, but nobody's got the right, as far as I'm concerned, to circumvent the process. And that's what this administration's doing. They're using every kind of loophole and technicality. And if you like technicalities, that's your prerogative. I don't like technicalities. I don't like to see murderers go free because a police officer didn't Mirandize them properly, or drug dealers go free because they had the wrong address on a search warrant. I don't like my executive branch throwing the legislative branch in the trash and saying that they're not even relevant anymore. Because I've got technicalities and a crappy charter to circumvent them.
Well, you're talking about opinions, and this kind of bothered me last night. Chris Peckham asked for corporate counsel to come down and explain Mass General Law 44, Section 53A, and whether or not the city council has the authority to approve the spending of the ARPA money. Now, I can't remember if he was at the meeting where that opinion was already given by corporate counsel. Maybe he was and he wasn't paying attention, but corporate counsel already said that the city has the authority to spend that money, that the mayor has that authority and doesn't need the approval of the city council. And then Attorney Goldberg said that wasn't correct. They both have opinions. And as you and I have always said, you can have all the opinions you want, but the only one that's going to make a valid decision on that opinion is a man in a robe. And that's the way that works. So I think whether it be by ignorance or some other cause or means, I think Chris Peckham asked for a repeat of what we already know. And I really think he should have thought about that before he asked for corporate counsel to come down and explain it, because we already know what corporate counsel is going to say because we heard it already.
Yeah, well, you're right. Well, look, we also know that as confusing as that meeting is, our government is confusing because Fall River doesn't abide by any laws. Do you remember a while back when the Corporation Council was Joe Macy and they got an opinion that said that he works for the mayor?
Yep.
Not for the people of Fall River or the city council. Now this Corporation Council goes down and says, I work for everybody. I work for you. I work for the mayor. I work for the people. Well, that's another opinion. Let's see who it does. I think he's correct. He is the city corporation council. He's supposed to operate in the best interest, but they don't. We understand the political realities of somebody getting a job from a mayor. I can't remember ever a corporation council rendering an opinion that flew in the face of the mayor's position. It's always in favor of the mayor. But what just makes me crazy is we have legislative bodies, we have political bodies who don't understand that nothing they say is law. Because they're lawyers. They think it's the law. They're not the law. The Corporation Council is not the law. Nor is the lawyer for the city council. They're giving you a legal opinion. You have to go to court, and that's the problem. They force everything at the court, and everybody's afraid to spend the money to clarify things, but it's time to do so. So that's,
I agree. I agree, especially on 4453A. I'm sorry. They've got to get clarification on that. And if they go to court and the court says that the city council must approve the spending of the ARPA fund, that's going to go up the mayor's ass sideways. Because he right now is spending that money the way he wants. And people are already asking, why should I bother going to next Monday's meeting, public hearing meeting, public input meeting on the ARPA money when they don't believe for a moment? The city doesn't believe for a moment, Mr. Mayor. They don't believe for a moment that money, any suggestions they make are going to be followed. They don't believe for a moment.
Why would you believe otherwise, CJ? If the mayor circumvented the city council, why are you going to listen to the peons?
Right. Exactly. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. Again, we don't have enough time for this. I'll tell you, we could go for hours sometimes. I want to thank everybody for watching. Remember, call your politicians. Tell them that you want them to go to court. You want them to file complaints against the mayor. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching.